Hi, I'm Mark Mazzaferro, and it's time for another episode of Fire Facts. And with us, as always, on Fire Facts is the star of Fire Facts, Vacaville Fire Chief Kris Concepcion. Kris, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Mark. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome.
And right off the bat, let's just jump right in. It's almost your 1-year anniversary here in the city of Vacaville, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
So how's your first year been?
It's been awesome. This Saturday marks 1 year since I've arrived in the city of Vacaville, and hopefully the fire department has gone in the proper direction. It seems like we've done a lot of different things. We've opened up Station 75 first and foremost. We graduated a class of 13 firefighters, and the fire department is going gangbusters and running calls, and people seem to be happy. So it's good.
Busy. Yeah, I gotta tell you, when you mentioned that it was your 1-year anniversary, I was shocked. It's gone fast, hasn't it?
Well, it depends on who you're speaking to, I guess. But yeah, no, for me, it has flown by. It doesn't seem like it's been a year since I've arrived. It seems like I'm brand new here still. But I'm having fun, and the city's been great. They've welcomed me with open arms, and that's just been great. Good
deal. Good. Glad to hear. Well, we're happy you're here. I was part of the interview panel when you were down to the finalists effort, and that was, I thought you were pretty impressive. I thought it was a no-brainer that you were the guy, and here you are.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks for the opportunity. That was a grueling effort, by the way, or process, by the way.
Yeah, that was, well, it needs
glad
to
I made
be.
It through.
Fire
well,
chief,
yeah, absolutely.
It's a big deal. It's
absolutely.
An important position. It's not like
Sure.
we're hiring, a dog catcher or something like that. Come on,
dog catchers are important too.
I know, but you're saving lives, Chief. Come on.
Yeah, the guys are on the floor saving lives.
Yeah, everybody works together.
Everybody,
it's a team effort.
It is absolutely a team effort. Our team has been doing very, very well in the last year since I've arrived here.
And speaking of doing well, let's talk about what's coming up. National Fire Prevention Week. Have I got that right?
Yes, it's in the first week of, actually the second week of October. And as a result, we are going to open to the community all 5 of our firehouses. So on October 15th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., all 5 of our firehouses are going to be open to the public. So we really welcome everyone from the city of Vacaville to come in, see their local firehouse, meet their firefighters, get on the, jump on the rigs and explore them, see how the firefighters, live, because there's always questions about, why work 24-hour shifts and why you call it the firehouse and all that kind of stuff. Well, go to the firehouse, get those questions answered.
Yeah, it's a cool way to get to know the guys who live and work in your neighborhood. Let's face it, those guys, you mentioned it's a firehouse. That's a house where they live, and they're part of the neighborhood.
Absolutely. A lot of people don't realize that the firefighters spend 1/3 of their life, essentially 1/3 of their life, in that firehouse. Right. So those firefighters, the other firefighters that are there with them, are essentially their second family, if you will. And some of the best times that I've ever had during my career were in the firehouse. You can remember all the storytelling and all the things that were going on, and mostly it's the contact that we made with the community and the difference that we were able to make in the community. Those are the things that I remember about my career, and that's why it's so important for the community to come out and meet the guys. They want to meet the people that live in the community that they serve, and I think that's very important.
And speaking of living in the neighborhood and having an open house, we just had one at 75.
We did, because we felt that because Station 75 opened up in May, that it was time that we did an open house for the community. We opened it up on Saturday, I believe it was September, I can't remember the exact day, but sometime in September. And people came out, and we had probably close to 500 people, so it was very, very well attended. Everybody had fun. We had face painting, we had popcorn and cotton candy, and most importantly, the community got to come out and see the equipment that is serving their community, and the firefighters that are actually serving their community. You got to see how the firefighters lived in the firehouse, and so it was a really good thing.
Good deal. I got to sample some cotton candy when they were trying out the machine, so it was a hit. The cotton candy was really good, and I'm not a big cotton candy fan, but it'd been like 30 years since I had some, to be quite honest.
It was high time that you had
some more.
I was
way overdue.
Right.
So thanks for having that event, because got my cotton candy quota up for the next 40 years.
There you go.
So what else is happening in the fire service? A lot of good things?
Lots of exciting things. Our new engine and truck are finally in town. The fire engine is at Station 71. We decided to place it at Station 71. So Station 71 has a brand new engine that's serving that area. And then the truck is going to be placed at Station 74. That's not quite, it's in town, but it's not quite in service yet. We need to do some training on it. It's a different piece of equipment. It's a beautiful piece of equipment, and you'll start seeing it being driven around town here pretty soon. And like I said, probably we're hoping to have it in service by the second week of October, serving the community, and it will be housed at Station 74 on Alamo.
How important is it to keep our equipment up to date? I mean, I got to believe at some point some of the equipment is just not useful anymore. Is that kind of why we're getting this new truck?
Absolutely. And the fire engines and fire trucks, when you look at the price tag of this, they're absolutely staggering as far as the price tags of that equipment. But you got to remember, they're big pieces of equipment, but they last a long time.
Right.
So a typical fire engine will last you about 10 to 15 years, depending on how much you drive it and how much it gets used. And then a fire truck can last you up to 20 years. So it's absolutely important that we keep these pieces of equipment maintained so that we can keep the costs down.
Sure, sure. And I got to tell you, I don't want to see a horse-drawn carriage pulling up with a big old tank of water. If I ever need a fire truck at my house, I want the latest and the greatest with the most powerful hose putting out the fire.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as just like computers, this equipment, does get obsolete. As new technology comes in. There's new technology on the latest pieces of equipment, and we as a fire department want to keep up with the latest technology, and it's sometimes difficult to do that because of the cost of that latest technology. A lot of people think that fire science or the fire service is a static type of science. It's not. It changes. Sure. The way we fight fire changes all the time. They come up with better ways to fight fire. They come up with more technology. And then, as most of our business is medical in nature, that changes also. That's not a static science at all either. So all that changes, so we want to make sure that we stay up with that technology.
And even though, a lot of your calls are medical, we're still kind of maybe not in the middle of fire season, but it's kind of coming to a close, but it's still an issue for us, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. In California, again, had a very active fire season. Luckily, here in this local area, we were pretty much spared from any major fires. I think the closest major fire that we had was in Lake County. Southern California, then there's been a fire. The Soberanes fire has been going on since July, and we actually still have Vacaville firefighters that are assigned to that fire today. Yeah. And so it's been over 2 months since that fire started, and they actually expect the firefighting effort to go on through November. It's in very, very tough terrain.
Yeah, yeah.
They really can't get to the terrain or to the properties or to the land where they need to get to put the fire out. So it's very tough going.
And at the risk of going too far down a technical hole here, when you see something like that in that kind of terrain, at what point do you say we're going to have to just let this burn for a while, or tell me about the approach in that kind of situation?
It really depends on a few different factors. What's the weather going to be like? What kind of terrain are you facing? And what are the values at risk? So if this fire is burning towards houses, then we've got to stop that fire before it gets to those houses.
Sure.
If it doesn't have any values at risk, then you can take a more conservative approach and just kind of hold back a little bit and let it do a more of a control the burn into the areas where you want it to go and let it, because fire actually is good for the environment and for ecology.
Right. I was going to say there are times where the fire is a good thing. Yes. Not always, but sometimes,
Right. So really depending on where it is and, where it's burning really determines that kind of thing.
Great. Well, listen, you got a lot going on in the department, and that's all because you've been here a year and you've implemented all these things, right?
Well, I don't know if I've implemented.
Come on, take some credit.
We're going to take a little bit of credit,
okay.
But I got to tell you, we've had an absolute blast, or I've had an absolute blast this past year, and I hope to continue the pace that we're going. We've been doing a lot of a lot of neat things. We have more changes coming up. Next month, at the end of the month in October, our Deputy Chief Phil Sanner is retiring after, I believe, 28 years in the fire service. I'm definitely going to miss him. He's been invaluable to me as far as having him as the Deputy Chief. So it's somebody that I've come to really, really like and love working with, and we're going to miss him. So we'll have to make sure have him come in here and say goodbye to the city before we let him get away.
That'll be a short interview. Phil's a man of few words.
He is, and you talk about not wanting to take credit. I mean, he doesn't want to take credit, but I'll give him the props now while he's not sitting in the room.
Sure.
Like I said, my first year would not have gone as well if it weren't for Phil. I mean, I can truly give him the credit for that. He has done a lot of good stuff for the city. He cares about the city, cares about the department, and that's always good to have somebody like that at your side.
He's at the cleanups, he volunteers, he's out there, and kind of like you said, he's a kind of a quiet, behind-the-scenes kind of guy, and we could all use more guys like Phil, that's for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the thing that I appreciate most about Phil is he's an absolute leader. He's a leader that the guys absolutely, they respect. Right. They enjoy having him around, and I think that's what makes him so successful.
Well, it's going to be sad to see him go, but I'm sure there's someone waiting in the wings to step up and take his spot.
We do, and it's going to be Alan Hartford, and he's got a significant amount of fire service experience. He's coming from the outside. He will start on October 17th, and so we will have him here shortly thereafter and introduce him to the city.
Excellent. Good deal. Well, listen, Chief, thank you very much for taking a little time out of your day. It's a lot of good info, and thank you for watching this episode of Fire Facts. We'll see you next time.